Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the MadyMack Knitting and Crafting podcast. I'm joined here today with my cat, Moo. I live in Connecticut with my husband, Matthew, and our two cats. The other one, her name is Baby, and she might join us at some point. This month has been very productive for me, especially with knitting. I had some pretty major goals for this month, and I was actually able to meet most of them. So we're gonna have quite a bit to go through. And I also just want to say really quickly, thank you to everyone who's watched my last video. I never really imagined that 300 people would be interested in what I have to say, but I do appreciate each and every one of you, and hope you enjoy. So, firstly, I would like to tell you about what I am wearing. So, this sweater is the Ward by Sloan Rosenthal. I used Hudson West Forge for the yarn, which is the recommended, and I did it in the color Lake. I made this size 2, which I'm very glad I did, because ease recommendation wise I probably should have made a size 3, but this is plenty of positive ease for me. Personally, I don't like for things to be super oversized, and also I get really cold, very big on the layers, so I don't want the drop shoulder especially to be too deep to where it's like difficult, to get your arm all the way in a sleeve. So this was a very good size for me, and I also really like the length. You see it hits right at my hips. I also prefer the more traditional length sweaters, not super cropped. Because even though I do mostly wear high-waisted pants, I don't like for my sweaters to just sit there. I like to be able to tuck them in. Yeah, so this sweater, I use Knit and Note to keep track of my projects, and in there it says I cast it on September 18th, but I had only done the ribbing at that point. And in my last video, I believe I had only done maybe 2 or 3 of the setup rows past the ribbing. So pretty much I did this whole sweater in a month, which I think is very fast. The reason that this one was so quick was I really wanted to be able to take it on our trip to Acadia. So my husband and I went up to Acadia in Maine last weekend. It was the last weekend that the park was going to be open before they closed for the winter, and I really wanted us to be able to get a Christmas card picture up there in both of our cabled sweaters. So if you followed me on Instagram, which is at MadyMack.Makes, you will have seen that I finished the Saven sweater. So it wasn't until after I finished this one that I really started working on this one, because, well, we had a pretty busy month. So here in October, well, it's November now, it's November 3rd whenever I'm recording this, but October, so whenever I filmed my last video, I had just gotten back up to Connecticut, and then that day my husband got back from his Navy training. So and my sister was visiting. She was on break from school, and she had driven up to see us, and so that was busy couple of days just getting unpacked and settled and everything. And then just a couple days after that, our in-laws, Matthew's parents, came to visit, and we drove up to Cape Cod for the weekend, and Matthew really wanted his sweater to be done to wear in Cape Cod. So his parents got in on a Friday. We drove to Cape Cod on Saturday. I finished the sweater on that Thursday. So it was dry just in time for him to wear it on Saturday, and it fits him perfectly. It is looking a little funny right now because he's worn it several times since I last blocked it, but it's a great fit. All of the seams are really nice. So you do a slip stitch like selvage the whole time you're knitting, and I really like the way that looks whenever it's seamed together, and you have that on all of the seams. So yeah, very, very nice. The only thing is, for some reason, and you won't probably be able to tell when I'm holding it flat, but this right here on both sides kind of bubbles up just a little bit if the collar isn't sitting exactly perfectly when he's wearing it. It's not the most obvious, but I notice it, and so I think at some point I might rip out the collar and try to fix that. So I've left the little tail out just so I know where that end is, so it'd be easier to rip out. But yeah, that's the only thing on this one that I would like to change. But aside from that, I think it's beautiful, and I'm so glad to have it finished. I originally started making this sweater back in February, whenever Kay at the Crazy Sock Lady was hosting her cabled sweater knit along, and it was a big project. It really was, and so I finished both sleeves. It took me about a month to do each sleeve, and then I kind of took a break for the summer, and then I picked it back up maybe 4 months ago, and really just did everything I could to get it done. So I'm very happy with that. Oh, and this is the Saven sweater by Meghan Babin, also in Hudson West Forge. So that's the recommended yarn for both of these patterns. If y'all are not familiar with them, you should definitely go check them out. They make beautiful heirloom type sweaters. So lots of cables in their beautiful yarn, which I really, really love. And I'm planning to buy some more of it. They have a very nice pink color that I'd like to make the Ingrid sweater in. But yes. So, oh, and another thing I wanted to say, because both of these sweaters are pieced. This one also has seams. There's no selvage on this one, and I honestly think the seam is fairly invisible right down there. It was not bad at all. Granted, you do have to knit flat, but that's not something I'm averse to. I love shawls and things like that, so I knit flat anyway pretty often. And then also, it's so much easier to just carry around like one of these pieces rather than this whole sweater. This is pretty heavy. It weighs, I think, 760 grams. Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah, so this thing's a whopper. And the only thing I had to do once it was all put together was add the collar. And that took some maneuvering. And whenever I did this one, you knit the front, the back, seam them together at the shoulders, and then you pick up for the sleeve and knit down, and then you do the folded over collar and knit it down. And those were, you know, especially the collar, were the fiddly bits, because I had to keep twisting it and keep twisting it. And I just kept thinking, it's so nice to make a pieced sweater because you don't have to do that constantly. You only have to do it for the little finishing bits. So yeah, I definitely would make more pieced sweaters in the future, which based on the other podcasts that I've seen, I think might be an unpopular opinion. But if you haven't tried it, I would say don't knock it, because it definitely can make a very large, very imposing project slightly less cumbersome. And the seaming was not bad. I, though, do sew a lot. I came to sewing really before knitting, so maybe that also has something to do with it. Yes. All right. Oh, I did want to show y'all one thing. Just 1 second. Here we go. So with the Saven sweater, for this size, which is the size 3, it recommended getting 9 balls of yarn. As I said, it only weighs about 760 grams. I only used 7.5 of those. And I had bought an extra skein, so I had gotten 10 skeins total, just in case, and because at the time I was ordering, I wasn't totally sure what size he wanted. So I have 2.5 skeins left over from that project. But for this one, the Ward, it recommended 6 skeins for that size, and this is all that I have. Oh, excuse me. I have terrible seasonal allergies, so you'll have to excuse me. This is all that I have left. I was honestly getting really worried that I wasn't going to be able to finish. So this collar, the full length, because it's double folded, is about 1/2 inch shorter than was recommended, but that was just because I didn't think I was going to be able to have enough left over to seam up the sweater. But I did, just barely, by the skin of my teeth. So very glad that that worked out. And then I have one more finished object to show you, and I believe last time I had this almost done. I just had to finish up the body and do the sleeves, and now it's all done. So this is the project I took with us on our trip up to Acadia. I had a rather intense month of knitting, finishing up the Saven sweater, pretty much making this entire sweater, and I just wanted something small and easy, and this was perfect for that. So I wrapped up. This is the Anker sweater Junior, and I think she does have a couple of different Anker sweaters for kids. This is the DK weight one, and I made this in Yarn Bees Must Be Merino. It's a yarn from Hobby Lobby that's about 50% merino, 50% acrylic. I really wanted this to be washable. It'll be a Christmas gift for my nephew. And yeah, so I think I'm going to run this through the washer before I give it to them, just so that I can tell them for sure that if you throw this in the washer, it's not going to fall apart. Yeah, so I think I'm going to do that. I haven't done it yet though. Yeah, tell me what you think if you have an opinion on that. Should I go ahead and wash it? Yeah, so it is just so adorable and tiny. Look at the little bitty cuffs. This is the size 2 to 3 year. He will be 1 year old here in just a few weeks, but I was really aiming for, well, Moo doesn't want to stay. I was really aiming for too big though, because I mean, even though this was a quick project, I would very much prefer if it fits for, you know, more than just a few weeks. And he's also a pretty big boy, so I don't think this would be too terribly big for him, and hopefully it'll fit for at least, this winter and maybe even next winter as well. So that was really fun. Yeah, and this is the Anker Sweater Junior by Petite Knit. And the color of the yarn was chambray. So I think it is a very nice soft blue without being too baby blue. So very happy with that. And I did do, which might be a little excessive, but I did tubular bind offs on a baby garment, which I know is probably silly, but it just looks so much better than a regular bind off in pattern. I had started to bind off in pattern and I was like, no, I just can't do it. And so I ripped that out. I didn't make it very far and I just did the tubular. And since it's not a ton of stitches, it really didn't take that long. So I definitely think it was worth it. And I did the sleeves. So each sleeve, we drove up at night. So, and also it's fall, so the sun sets really early. The sun sets about 5:30. So on our drive both ways, we left at about 3 o'clock. And so we only had probably 3 hours of sunlight on each drive. And then the rest of it was in the dark. And so I could do pretty much a sleeve in, let's call it 4.5 hours-ish. You know, that's not, I wasn't rushing on this or anything. And, you know, there were definitely breaks in there and part of it was in the dark. So these sleeves were super duper quick. Yeah. Really, really happy with how they turned out. I did them on tiny circulars, which is part of my acquisitions. So I will show you those in just a little bit. But yeah, really excited about that. Nice to have another Christmas gift out of the way. So remove these finished objects and we will get into the whips. So I also had mentioned this project in the last video, but I hadn't actually casted it on yet. So, so sorry. I will show you just a little swatch, which I believe is all that I had last time. And for this one, this is also a gift, a Christmas gift for my niece. So they're brother and sister, and I do think that their sweaters will coordinate pretty well. You can definitely see little bits of blue in this one, so I think that they will go together pretty well. But I also wanted this one to be machine washable, but I did not choose machine washable yarns. So I made this little swatch and I ran it through the washer just to make sure it would survive, and I think it looks pretty good. It might be just the tiniest bit felted, but in order to counteract that, I'm just making a larger size. So, show you what I'm using. This is Sewrella yarn in her Netflix collection, Casita. It is based on the movie Encanto, and I am so in love with this yarn. I think it's beautiful and I love. I'm also hauling it with this is Cammarose. They're let me grab the other one and I can tell you exactly what it is because it's escaping me at the moment. All right, so here it is. It's the Cammarose Midnight Soul in the color Gamma Rosa. So I'm using this held with the Sewrella yarn, because this is a worsted weight and the pattern calls for closer to a bulky. So I'm holding these two together, and I was worried I still wasn't going to get gauge, which is why I did the swatch. I did one on the recommended needle size and then one a size up, but I did end up getting the stitch count, especially after it was washed, with the recommended needle size, so that's what I'm using. And I really like the way it's turning out. So this is the Novice Sweater Junior, also by Petite Knit. She has some wonderful children's patterns. And the increases on this, let's see if I'll be able to tell, do leave some holes. But I think after blocking, and if I mess with it a little bit, you know, like pulling the stitches around it, it'll look right. And even if it does leave holes, they kind of look like little eyelets, you know, so I think it works. It doesn't bother me, but they are rather prominent, and I do notice them even in the sample photos in the pattern, so I do think it's right. But yeah, so if I thought this sweater went quickly, this sweater is flying. So let's see, I think my earbud just died. I wanted to make sure you can hear me. Let's see. No, it had just disconnected. Hopefully you can hear me. So one day, whenever, I think it's whenever I had started blocking the Saven sweater, I just wanted to cast this on. No, it was when Matthew's parents were here, because it's the niece and nephew are on that side of the family, so I wanted to, you know, kind of show them what I was making. And so I think it was maybe after I'd finished the first panel of this sweater, I took a little break and I just cast it on this and just did the collar. It took less than an hour. And then we're going out of town again this weekend. We're going into New York City and we're going to go see a show. And so I wanted to be able to have something that I could knit on in the dark. So I wanted to get this past the sleeve split so that I could just work on the body. So I sat down just 2 evenings while we were watching TV and, you know, just casually knitting, also eating dinner at the same time, you know, just a couple hours at night, got to the sleeve split. And it's crazy. It's crazy how fast these little garments work up, especially at this bulky weight. So yeah, really loving this project and loving this combination. So yeah. And also, I think I had mentioned last time that I had 3 balls of this, and if possible I wanted to use a 3rd one for myself, just because I love this yarn so much. And I think it's going to work out, because I've only used about half of the first one and I'm already to the sleeve split. So that seems promising that I can get this whole sweater out of just 2. And yeah. Also, I was starting to think, because last year, so for my niece, I made her a dress and a matching doll dress. And so I was thinking, if I have enough left over, maybe I can, because I know Petite Knit does have doll patterns, and so maybe I'll make a little doll sweater too, but that could be really fiddly, I feel like, just because it would be so small of a project. But I don't know, if any of you have made the doll patterns by Petite Knit before, please let me know. So yes. Oh, Also, I'm keeping this in a bag from Tiny Human Knits. There's her tag. It's a great bag. Love that it has a handle. Perfect size for this project. I know it's meant to be a sock size, but also great size for children's garments. So there we go. That is whip number 1. And here is whip number 2. Oh, it's over there. And so this one is something that I had not started yet in my last one, but in my last one I had hoped that I would be much farther on it by now. So this is the project that I am making out of Sewrella's Halloween Advent. It was called 13 Nights of Salem. And well, she's already announced all the colorways on her Instagram, so this shouldn't be a spoiler for anyone anymore. But I'm making the Free Your Fade shawl by Andrea Mowry out of them, and hopefully you can see. Yeah, so this room is pretty dark in the mornings, so I have the lamp on, so hopefully you can still see the colors pretty well. But I've just added in the first 2 minis for this, and I have gone ahead and wound up the next 2. So here is day 3. There we go. And day 4. And then I have the other ones laid out here to show you. She just makes the very best colors, and I am so glad that I've gotten to do this. So here's 5 on this end, 6, 7, and 8. Oops. No really easy way to do this. Yeah, so I had hoped to have this done by my birthday, which is November 10th, so it's exactly 1 week from today, and I just don't think that's going to be possible. I had such an intense month of knitting, just trying to get this sweater done, that I want to relax a little bit, and I definitely want to do some more sewing. I really want to make a Christmas quilt this year. I have a couple of garments that I would like to make for myself, you know, something to wear to Thanksgiving. And we're going to Arkansas for Thanksgiving to my family, and it's just not cold enough there in November to wear a thick sweater, so I would like to sew something to wear. Yeah, I have some plans, and so I think this is going to take a little bit longer. Yeah, here are the last 5 days. Here's day 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13 on this end. So yeah, really beautiful colors, and I'm really excited to get them all into this shawl. And I'm already making some pretty good progress. I mean, I've only worked on this for a little while, and especially as the rows get longer, use up the colors faster. I mean, this first part took me a while, but just because it's a lot of rows, but not necessarily a lot of stitches. So yeah, I'm really loving this project, and I do want to get it done before November is over so that it's still in the fall months. But yes, I really love these colors. So glad that I got my hands on these, and I'm really enjoying this pattern as well. The garter stitch repeat is really nice, and then the eyelets are very cute too. And I've just noticed that I have a dropped stitch, so bear with me just a second. I'm going to put a marker on that. Really tempting to lose that stitch. Let's see. There we go. Just do it like that. And so I have this project in a bag from Willow Bay Handmade, and she puts a little clasp, a little lobster clasp on the inside that you can put your stitch markers on. So it makes it really easy to just pull them out really quickly, just like that. So really enjoying this project as well. This is all that I have left of the second color. So I'll be working that third one in here pretty soon. And yeah, really happy with how that's going. So as you can tell, I don't have a lot of projects going on at the moment, just these two small ones, and this one's already like halfway done. So now it's time to talk about some plans. I have lots of things that I would like to get started here in the next few days, really. I would like to get them started. I'm planning maybe a little bit of a cast-on party here soon. And these are things that I definitely want to prioritize, but I'm not going to rush too much because, as I said, I really would like to get some more sewing in this month. Honestly, let's pull that out too. I'd like to show y'all some of these cute fabrics. I'll just do this. So I showed in my last podcast the fabric that I would like to use for the Christmas quilt. Very cute. And also just to have a little sewing content to introduce a few of the things that I would really like to try to make. I have this really fun fabric from Mood Fabrics. Let's see if I can show you the full pattern repeat. Okay, this side might be better. And apologies, this has not been ironed. So, but they're all mirror images. So I'm really hoping that I have enough that I can cut it strategically so that the mirror images line up correctly, like down the center. And this is what I would like to make. Well, I actually bought this fabric about 2 years ago to make a Thanksgiving dress, and I just never really got around to it. So maybe this will be the year. And if not, I have some really cute yellow fabric that I believe I showed in maybe my first podcast to make a tiered skirt. And that one's already cut out, so it has a much higher likelihood of being done. I don't know if I've said before, but cutting out is my least favorite part of sewing. So yeah, I need to have a cast on party and a cut patterns out party so that I can hopefully get all the things done that I would really like to. So yeah, love this fabric though. I know it's like jungly, which isn't the most maybe Thanksgiving pattern in the world, but I think the colors are really great for fall, and I'm super excited to use it. But as far as knitting goes, so I've shown my pressed flowers shawl before. I made a springy one. It's very pink and green, and I really love that one. I really do. But this is the combination I originally got to make a pressed flower shawl. And then so whenever I really love a pattern, this goes for sewing as well, I want one for every season. So this will be my fall and winter pressed flowers. So this is a combo by Birch Grove. I'll show you the actual skeins. So I bought this as a kit that she did either in December or January. This one is called Understory, and this one is called Hemlock. So this one, the green, will be the background color, and then this one will be the flowers. And I did it reverse last time. I did the variegated as the background and the solid as the flowers. So I'll be doing this one opposite. And I'm really, really excited for this. I would like to get it cast on here pretty soon. But I have it on a short cable for right now because the long cable is currently with this shawl. So this one I would really like to finish first before I work too hard on this one. So, but I do have plenty of space to get it started. So that's what I'd like to do. Maybe just do 1 or 2 repeats. Because it's always easier, I think, to pick things up that are already started rather than having to start them. And then I'll show you another little project. So after I finish the little sweater, this will be my carry around project. This is Christmas socks. So I want to make, my husband and I, some coordinating Christmas socks. He really indulges me with the matchiness. I think it's cute to be coordinating but not matching too much, or to have a small thing that matches. Like last year I made us matching Oslo hats, but it's just a hat, you know, and it's a relatively plain hat, and like a the colorway was called croissant, so it's like a mustardy neutral. And so, you know, it's not too in your face matchy, but you know that we go together. And so this year I would like to do socks. So I've gotten 2 sock sets, both from Willow Cottage yarns, I believe. I'll have it written correctly down below. And this is her North Pole sock set. I bought these last year, so I'm not sure if she still has them or not. But this one is going to be for Matthew. He has, you know, bigger feet than I do, so I'd like to go ahead and get his started first. And then I want to do my pair as part of the Sockmas knit along that Knitting Natty is holding at the end of November into December. So I'd like to do this pair first, and I believe it's called the Hey Sailor or excuse me, Hello Sailor socks by Summerly Knits. It's like a broken rib stitch with the stripes at the top, so I'll do the stripes in the mini, and then this. And the other sock set I got has a green and a red mini, so I think I'm going to do her Cider House socks, also by Summerly Knits, for my pair. So they will have the same yarns, but they will be different. So, and I already have this split into 2 50-gram cakes, so that I think will work out very nicely. Just put these back away. And both this and the pressed flower shawl I have in bags from Dogwood Knits. Really like these bags. They don't have handles, which doesn't bother me for this one because it fits perfectly in my purse, but this one it's just not really a carry around bag. It's more of like in the house, but both of them work great. Really like them. And then I have 2 last plans that are much bigger. And these are great bags as well. I cannot remember where each one was purchased from, but I will put it down below. So this is for a second sweater for my husband Matthew. So whenever he originally left for his training, he was gone for 10 weeks. I ordered this yarn on the day he left because, well, I missed him. And, you know, best laid plans, I wanted to have the other sweater done, you know, in much earlier because I originally started back in February. And this one I was thinking could be good for Christmas. I now do not believe I could have this finished by Christmas. I don't want to push myself that far, but I am very excited. So I had to get started here soon. So this is Peer Gynt by Sadness Garn. And, you know, they always do their colors in numbers. So there's a number, but on the website is listed as marine. So I will be making the Hanstholm, I have no idea how to say it, sweater by Petite Knit. It is a pretty classic raglan, I believe, with just like a double folded collar. And it looks very similar to the sweater that the main man wears in Guernsey. Oh shoot, what's the Potato Peel Pie Society? Something about Guernsey and the Potato Peel Pie Society. It's a movie on Netflix, and he wears a really nice like work-a-day sweater, and that's what Matthew wanted me to try to replicate. So that's what we're doing with this. We have the good navy color, and I think a really good classic pattern for it. And yeah, there's a lot of yarn in here. I had to get 14 balls. So this thing is just full of yarn right now. And then for myself, I ordered some Nutiden several months ago. Let's see if I can get it in good color for you. I cannot remember what this is called, but it's a very pretty like brown pink. It has some other colors in it too, but I really want to make the Tulip sweater with this. Yeah, I get really cold. I grew up in the South where it's cold for like maybe 3 months out of the year, and you just suffer through it and complain and wear lots of layers. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of winter. But we are now in the Northeast where it gets very cold, and they have much more wintry weather than I've ever really experienced in my life. And also my husband's family lives up in Seattle, which also gets very cold, and I wanted to have some very warm layers for, you know, this new season of my life where I experience more winter. And so this one I think will be very warm. Everyone talks about how warm Nutiden is. So really looking forward to this, especially because I think it's knitted double-stranded, held with a mohair. So this was a very difficult color to color match. I ordered a couple different skeins. I ended up going with this one from Knitting for Olive. It is the Plum Clay color, and it's not perfect. It's definitely more purple than this is, but I think that they complement each other. So I think it'll work. Yeah. So I think this will be a very warm combo. And I'm going to do the Tulip sweater by Melody Hoffman, if I haven't already said that. And I think it's going to be really nice. I have 3 of the mohair, which is what's recommended. And then, you know, I got 300 grams of the Nutiden, which I just want to show you is so much yarn. Look at that. It's 300 grams. I think actually, if I weighed it, I think would probably be a little bit more than that. But yeah, So I think the pattern for the tulip says it'll take about 3 plates for the size I want to make, which I can't remember which size it is, but I think the second or third. Yeah, so this seems like so much yarn, but it really doesn't weigh much. You know, it's very thin, very airy, so I do think it will make me a very nice warm sweater that will keep me toasty in this climate I have not yet grown accustomed to. So yes, I'm just gonna put those back, and those are my plans for the next little bit. I would like to get those cast on here pretty soon. I'd really like to wrap up that last gift knit. I mean, technically the Christmas socks are sort of a gift knit, but not really. If he gets them early or late or whatever, that will be fine. But I do have a couple of acquisitions that I really wanted to share. So one I already kind of mentioned, I got the Chai Goo tiny interchangeables. This is the larger set and this is the smaller set. I just got like both of them together on Amazon because I needed the larger set to do the sleeves on the baby sweater, but I also knew I'm wanting to make more and more socks, so having this set will be good as well. So, you know, just like a good practical acquisition, nothing too fancy. And then one that I'm pretty excited about. So I haven't bought much yarn lately. I do have a couple of plans of things that I would like to buy, but I just have so much that I need to work through at the moment that's not what's really on my mind. But what I did get is a book. So I personally love craft books. And also the 52 weeks of easy knitting patterns, I believe is what it's called. It's easy or basic or something like that, is on pre-order, and I do want to order it. Also, I'm gonna butcher her name, but Kutova Kika, she also wrote a book called Knit This recently. And sorry, and if anyone knows of a location that it's sold in the US, I would really love to buy that book. I've almost ordered it a few times, but the shipping is more expensive than the book is to get it to the US, and that's just a little hard to do. But I might end up doing it anyway because I definitely want the book versus the ebook. I just really love having the tangible item. But back to the one in my hands. So this is Viking Knits by Lasse L. Matberg. And I found this. We drove up to Concord in Massachusetts to see the colors and to see, you know, the historical site. It's where the Revolutionary War started, if you're unfamiliar. And I love that kind of stuff. That's one of the fun parts about being in this part of the country, is it's just so much older than the rest of the country, and you can see a lot of those fun old historical things. But we went into the bookstore there in Concord, and I went to the craft section and found this book. So my husband, he's very knit-worthy. As you can tell, he's already got the Saven sweater, which I swear he's worn like every third day since I finished it. And he has the blue one coming, but it's kind of hard to find men's patterns. And especially, well, how to say this? I don't know. I feel like when you are a crafter, it's easier to envision what you want to make based on someone else's creation. Like, you know, I think maybe it's easier like in sewing, you see a pattern that's made in a particular fabric, maybe you don't like the fabric, but you see another fabric and you're like, oh yes, that would be the perfect combination. Like you can see it in your head a little bit better. But I feel like when you're not a crafter, it's harder to kind of envision that. So what I like about this one is this guy is kind of similar to my husband, except my husband's bald, so minus the hair. But this guy was in the Norwegian Navy, and he now is a fitness instructor. He owns a CrossFit gym. And so my husband is also in the Navy, but the US Navy, and he's also a big CrossFitter. So this is a much more like similar person to him, so it's easier to like envision these sweaters on himself. So and it has how many men's patterns? 18 men's sweaters. So this is like a treasure trove. It is so hard, at least for me, and maybe I'm not good at using Ravelry. I do not find Ravelry to be very user-friendly at all, which is why I keep track of my patterns in Nutiden instead. Yeah, so it's so hard for me to find men's patterns on there. Like the only one I really know of is Petite Knit and Hudson West. I know that there are a couple others who do good patterns as well, like Max the Knitter. He has some really good ones, and Tin Can Knits has some good ones as well, but that's really not a whole lot of variety, especially compared to how many patterns are available for women. So yeah, but there are some really great patterns in here. I just show you a few without giving anything away. Like, what an amazing colorwork sweater right there. And let's see, this reminds me of the vertical stripes, like if I wanted a female equivalent by Petite Knit. And just this one that's on the cover is really great too. And there are women's patterns in here as well, and kids patterns. So you could make like a whole family's worth of matching sweaters. Really love this like pullover. Not a hoodie because it doesn't actually go over the head, but it kind of has like a cowl, I guess. Ooh, and this one is really nice too. So yeah, lots of patterns in here that I would love to make. Oh, and here's just an example of like one of the women's patterns. This is actually a pattern for the hat and gloves, but yeah, really excited to get into this book. Here's another one of the women's ones. Oops, it's really nice. Yeah. Oh no, there's a really cool, gosh guys, I mean, there's just some really great patterns in here. So if there are any men in your life that you like to knit for, I would definitely recommend this. This is probably the most men's patterns I've ever seen in one go. Here's one of the kids' patterns. Yeah, anyway, I will quit flipping through, but yeah, really excited to make some of these. Yeah. All right, well, I think that is everything. Hope that you are all enjoying the fall. I think I'm going to try to include a little bit of fall ambiance here at the end from some of our road trips that we've taken. Yeah, also follow me over on Instagram at MadyMack.Makes. You see some more of those pictures, plus we took some pictures in our sweaters in Acadia that I'm looking forward to sharing here soon. So yeah, follow me over there to see some more of that, and I hope to see you again in about a month. All right,